This video is sponsored by Groons. Who are the 4 greatest individuals in wrestling history? Who single-handedly left their mark, making it the global phenomenon it is today? Who is on wrestling's Mount Rushmore? Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. Who makes my wrestling Mount Rushmore? Does my trainer Al Snow make it? Does one of my old friends Randy Orton make it? I mean, do I make it? One thing I can guarantee is there are a few that will be controversial. So join me as I give my Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. And what better place to give my Mount Rushmore than here at Mount Rushmore. First on my Mount Rushmore is Hulk Hogan. And I know what you're saying, trust me. I understand the controversies that surrounds the man, and I am in no way, shape, or form endorsing Terry Bollea, the man. But I can argue, wrestling is not what it is today without Hulk Hogan. I grew up in the 80s, and I remember when wrestling went from territories to a nationally televised product, and it needed a superstar. And there was no one that was bigger than Hulk Hogan. Trust me, people who didn't know anything about the business, people who didn't even like wrestling, knew who Hulk Hogan was. He was showing up in serials, on movies, on television shows. He was everywhere. He helped put wrestling on the map. And I can also argue he did it again in the 90s when he helped create the NWO, which kicked off the Monday Night Wars leading to the Attitude Era, also helping another member earn the list on my Mount Rushmore. And believe me, you'll never hear me argue that Hogan was the best technical wrestler ever, but ask yourself one thing: is wrestling what it is today without Hogan and his boom of the 1980s? And everyone remembers Hogan's saying of say your prayers and eat your vitamins, but that's easier said than done. With so many supplements available, meeting your daily nutritional requirements is a challenge. However, this video sponsor Groons makes it easy, brother. Let me show you. Left him at home. Josh, help me out. Whew. Thanks, Josh. Groons is a complete and comprehensive formula that gives you everything your body needs and then some. This isn't a multivitamin, a green gummy, or a probiotic. It's that and then some. Each daily snack pack comes with 8 gummies loaded with over 20 vitamins and minerals and over 60 whole food ingredients. Way more than generic multivitamin brands. But Groons isn't another vitamin. No, it has a higher bioavailability. What does that mean? All it means is that you can absorb and use more of its nutrients after you take it. But Groons also offers you gut health, beauty, energy, immunity, recovery, and cognition benefits. Plus, it makes for a great snack. So click the link in the description and get 45% off your order. And once again, Josh, can you help me out? Next on my Mount Rushmore, the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, I knew I had to put someone from the Attitude Era in this list, and to be perfectly honest, my partner and I went back and forth over Stone Cold or The Rock. After debating back and forth, we finally landed on the Rattlesnake, because I dare you to think of the Attitude Era and not think of Stone Cold. I dare you to think of a t-shirt and not think of Austin 316, and I dare you to think of a moment that lives in infamy and have it not have the Rattlesnake in it. On a personal note, during my time there, I was fortunate enough to be privy to everyone's entrance, and when that glass shattered the arena, it was just different. Even backstage, when Steve was in a segment, you lit up. When Steve was gonna do something, you knew it was going to be amazing. And for mid-card guys like me, having myself in one segment with Austin just helps complete my career. And even for today's generation, where the stars of yesteryear have went off blazing their own trail, Stone Cold has stayed within the wrestling community and still means so much to everyone. And for those reasons, Stone Cold Steve Austin makes my Mount Rushmore. And that's the bottom line, because Maven said so. Next on my Mount Rushmore is, of course, the dead man, the Undertaker. Now, when I was thinking about who I was going to put on my list, Taker didn't immediately jump to mind, and then I was reminded about his 30-year career and how he spent over 3 decades with one company. And loyalty has to matter. There is truly something to be said for staying with one company for over 30 years, especially when other companies were offering big paydays to jump ship. But longevity isn't the only reason Taker made my Mount Rushmore. For all the amazing matches and wonderful memories he gave you in the ring, he meant even more backstage to all the boys. And believe me, I know. I firsthand was able to take advantage of this selflessness. I mean, before I was deserving, he let me eliminate him and a few weeks later pin him for the Hardcore Championship. But it extends far beyond me. Taker's fingerprints in that locker room helped mold career after career for decade after decade. And you'll find no one backstage in a wrestling locker room with more respect, who has earned more respect, known as the godfather of the locker room. I can't say what wrestling would look like without the Undertaker, but I can say undoubtedly he left the locker room and wrestling as a whole a better place. And the final person making my Mount Rushmore, and I know you're gonna disagree with me and think I am wrong, and that is perfectly fine. The final head on my Mount Rushmore is Vince McMahon. When Vince took over, wrestling was a regional, territorial product, and superstars would move from territory to territory, repackaging themselves, and it was hard to get national recognition. Vince changed all this. Vince knew that there was a demand for sports entertainment, and a demand to make superstars, to make men and women almost larger than life, and to make them accessible to you, the fans. Vince brought wrestling into millions and millions of homes, wrestling that was not there before he came around. Vince helped popularize the pay-per-view method, giving the fans one big show to look forward to each and every month. Vince had the foresight to take the action away from regional, smaller venues and put them into larger stadiums and arenas. And trust me, I get it. He's had some stinkers along the way. We all have. But Vince was the first person to take a live weekly television show and make you care about it. He has created more iconic stars and moments than any promoter in wrestling history. And everybody on my Mount Rushmore is there in part because of Vince McMahon. And in this case, it's perfectly fine to maybe not like the artist, but appreciate the art they created along the way. Speaking of Vince McMahon, what was my relationship like with him, being that I wrestled for him in the WWE? To find out, click the link on screen.
And don't forget, receive 45% off your Groons order using the link in the description.